As I promised, I wanted to talk a little bit about my caroling day and why it was such a success. So, we've been doing caroling day for over 20 years. It first started where we were going from uh, assisted living facilities and stores and performing. We were going to a bunch of assisted living facilities. And what happened was one year, about 20 years ago, um, there was an outbreak and they canceled that day, and we couldn't go to any of the assisted living facilities because there was some outbreak. So we were scrambling to figure out where we could carol, and we ended up going to every school in the district. And that ended up being a huge success where we caroled at the 4 elementary schools, the 2 middle schools, and the high school and central where the administration was housed. And we've been doing that for a long, long time. And as the choir grew, and I realized that having 120 students walking around the hallway wasn't always the optimal way to perform, because when we were turning corners, the sound wouldn't sound very good. The back of the line would not be locked in with the front of the line, and so on. After many years, I decided to split the choir into two. So we would go to each school and divide the choir into two. So one choir would go one way, one choir would go the other way, and we'd have student leaders who would lead each of the two choirs going around the building. On top of that, we have the 8 student-run a cappella groups. Each one has their own song that they perform. So we have all the Christmas carols and Hanukkah carols, Hanukkah, Dreidel, Joy to the World, Carol of the Bells, Dreidel, I already said Dreidel. All the usual stuff. We wish you a Merry Christmas, Jingle Bells. And then we have All I Want for Christmas Is You. We have, I don't know what else we have. We have a whole bunch of Feliz Navidad. We have Frosty the Snowman, done like, what are they called? Rockapella. So we had all of this stuff going around. And this is the way it's been for a long, long time. But what's changed now, when I walked into the room this morning and the students were rehearsing, I was actually late. I had to go to the nurse and pick up an EpiPen and all this stuff. When I walked into my room in the morning, congratulations. Sorry. When I walked into the rehearsal room, the two choirs were already split in half, one choir on the left side of the room, one choir on the right side of the room, first thing in the morning. And the leaders were already taking turns going back and forth, and you could hear a pin drop in the room. Normally, something like this would be going on, but there would be talking. There would be students who weren't buying in, who were still kind of sort of in the right spots. Maybe they were sort of in the middle, not really paying attention. But on the day before the break this year, the students were fully engaged in both choirs. So then when it was time for me to speak with them about basically what the goal was when they go caroling, the goal is to spread joy. It's not about how well you sing. It's about how focused you are, that you're not focused on each other. You're not focused on your phone. You're actually focused on the faces of the little kids, and you're focused on interacting with your previous teachers and spreading joy and smiling. And then, of course, we talk about things like how you behave when you're on the bus, that you remain seated. You say thank you to the bus driver. Congratulations, Nolan. When I talked about all these things with the students, you could hear a pin drop in the room. And then when we walked to the front of the building to start caroling, we carol over the loudspeaker first thing in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. The students were quiet. They walked into the office quietly. When we got to each school, they understood that they needed to be quiet to create an element of surprise when they began caroling. This was different because every other year that you'd hear them quieting each other down, shh, 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 as they're walking into the building. You'd hear some leaders kind of overstepping to compensate for students who weren't listening. This time, everybody was listening to one another and respecting one another. And so for me, it was a step up even from where I had seen my program in the past. And it wasn't something that I had expected, but I noticed it leading up to the concert because it was the calmest I've ever been leading up to my concert. And after the concert, when caroling day came, I was immensely calm because the students were taking the responsibility and the other students were respectfully following. And also, they all seemed to feel empowered. It wasn't as if there were these, three leaders who were standing up there in charge. It was like they were leading, but everybody was leading. Everybody was helping each other to be successful. So the biggest takeaway for me is that as I've been doing this for a long time, and obviously we talk a lot about empowerment, there's always another level. There's always another level. And I'm not looking at this saying, oh, it's never going to be like this again. I'm saying, well, how can I take this and improve upon this for the following year? What more responsibilities can I give to more students to make this day better, to make my concert season better? Because not only does it lighten my workload and my stress load, it gives them more joy, more gratitude, more impact, and more growth. So I wanted to just kind of share this whole experience with you. Pardon my kids interrupting me a few times. I just wanted to get this out for you to see it and maybe ask questions if you have any. And I hope that you find this interesting.